I'm officially back doing another series review because the last one I did was VHS and that was back in October. Now I'm back to do Final Destination. I meant to do this a while ago, but then new stuff kept coming out and I kept pushing this off. Now finally doing it. Okay, so um my history with the series. Um I saw the first movie on TV. I watched it. I believe it was with my mom. I believe, and didn't really know what it was, but I was just intrigued, and it it it's it didn't necessarily scare me because I was going like, oh boy, like that's not going to be good. Even when I forget how old I was, but I was going like, yep, you're dead. And then it happens. I'm like, yep. So, uh, but it was before I knew that there was a series. So this was actually one of the first, um, like, uh, series I actually watched in order because I saw the first movie, didn't know that there was 2 through 5. I was like, oh well, there we go. I'm perfectly fine. So the start of this series is there's 5 movies in total. I don't. I personally don't see them doing another one unless they do like either a reboot or remake of some kind. I think I heard something that said that they're possibly doing a 6th film. And who knows what's gonna happen with that? Who knows? But yeah, so I saw some clips of like some of the other movies on YouTube. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was pretty intrigued to see what this was. So we will start with the first movie, Final Destination.
Unless they are taking lives and causing death. Now, can you promise me that no one else is going to die?
This came out in 2000. It is directed by James Wong, who is more known for being a producer. He's produced like tons and tons of shows like American Horror Story, um, The X Files. So he's pretty big name when it comes to that. He did like The One, uh, Space Above and Beyond, and also uh, Dragon Ball Evolution, which that I think that ended him directing, I believe. Unless he directed stuff after that, but I think that was the last movie he did. Because, yeah. Anyway, uh, this movie is about um the well, I believe I heard that this movie was supposed to be it was something. I believe it was originally supposed to be an X Files episode because it feels like an extended episode of the X Files. But they're like, no, this actually could work as a film. And so the story of this is um, a group of friends go on a plane to go on vacation, and one of them has a vision that they're all going to die. So he freaks out, and then he gets off, and then some of the friends come with him, and they all start going like, why did you freak out? It's not going to happen. And then sure enough, it did happen. It does happen. So the whole plot of the series is death has a plan, and that if you escape death or cheat death, then somewhere down the line, death will come back to you. So I forget what it is, but I think it's the image of the snake that is in a circle and it's eating its own tail. It's supposed to mean like, yeah, you start out that way, but then it's like, nope, you just It just loops back around. I know that's not what it means. It just means like you just eat yourself, but it's supposed to be like like you can cheat it, but it's just going to come right back around. So we get to see these people get killed off one by one with kind of Rube Goldberg death scenes. I like that. I like the idea of you can't escape death because no one can. Nobody can cheat death. No one can escape it. But in this case, if you do, it's just gonna come right back around and get you. And I really like the Rube Goldberg style scenes where it's like when you're just a scene just on one character and you're just like, oh boy, I'm just looking around the room and just like thinking about like, oh boy, what's gonna kill you? And it's like, oh, this happens. Oh, that falls over. Oh, this happens, and then they die. I like that. It definitely keeps up the suspense. I think the first movie has really good suspense. It keeps you on the edge of your seat because you're kind of going, because they do a lot of fake outs where it's like, oh, this is happening. Oh, okay, they're fine. Oh no, this is happening. Okay, they're fine. And then eventually it happens and it still gets you off guard because you were like, oh, I thought it was going to be this was going to happen. I thought this was going to happen. I thought they were going to die this way. Thought they were going to die this way. So it keeps you on the edge of your seat. It keeps you guessing on how they're going to die, which is what I think a movie should do. The characters, nothing to gloat about. I like most of the people in this. You get the understanding, like, yeah, they're all friends, but they all have their own like problems with each other. But I personally liked this movie. I think it would have been nice if it was just a one-off, but they decided to continue it, and in 2003 we got Final Destination 2. This one, instead of a plane crash, it's a huge car accident. In fact, this is the movie that taught me to just, if I see a big log truck in front of me, I'm just gonna move right over, and I don't care. If I see a log truck coming from behind me and then it gets in front of me and gets into my lane, I'm just going to go, nope, and just merge into another lane because I'm just like, nope, I'm not trusting this at all. Or if I can't merge, I'm just going to be like, well, I'm screwed. So this one is directed by David R. Ellis, who did a lot of like second unit filming on like Deep Blue Sea, one of the, I think, Matrix Reloaded, worked on Snakes on a Plane. Did Snakes on a Plane, did this, did Shark Night in 2011, did the Final Destination 4 or the Final Destination, but sadly passed away in 2013. So Shark Night was his last movie. And I think this is a good sequel. It follows kind of the same premise as the first movie does. But you have a whole new cast of characters in this. One of the characters from the first movie comes back. which is cool to see them. And it's like, oh, okay, you're still alive, cool. And I also forgot to mention that in the first movie, Tony Todd shows up, and just whenever I see him, I just have a huge smile on my face. So he comes back in this. He's kind of like the coroner, or like the messenger of death, where he's just like, yeah, you can escape this, but it's just gonna keep following you until you are wiped out. So it's really cool. I really liked it. I really like him as an actor. Um, I think this movie keeps the intensity of the first movie. It keeps it back up. They do something different in this. So in the first movie, they find out that the way that they're all dying is the way that they were seated on the plane. In this one, it's I believe it. Yeah, I believe is this one. It was they reverse ordered it. Now, here's the problem I have with that. I would have been fine with that if it wasn't for 3, 4, and 5. It's the same order as the first movie, and they don't bring this reverse order thing back into play. So it feels very like I don't understand why that you decided to go that way. Like if you changed it up a little bit, like if in like 3, 4, or 5, if you brought back the reverse order, then it wouldn't be much of a problem. But the fact that it's only in this one and not in any of the sequels, it's a bit like I don't think it works there. So they explore more about like what they could do to survive, and it's like, all right, we can do this to survive, and then just boom. So eh. Oh yeah, and forgot to mention, first movie I would give a grade. I think it's a really good movie. This one I would give probably an average. Give it an average rating. It's still good. I still enjoyed it, but it was just those little things that they added. I'm like, I don't really think you guys needed this, but oh well, I guess. Oh well. To then, I guess that made a lot of money. To then in 2006, we got Final Destination 3.
Unless we can figure out how to stop it.
I never thought I could see my own death before it happened.
So this one, James Wong comes back to direct this one. This time it's a roller coaster accident. Now, this one, it's kind of like, it's one of the weakest ones in the series. I know a lot of people that say like, oh, this movie just plain sucks. And I'm just like, I both agree and disagree. I think most of the acting is good. I like how Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who's one of my favorite actresses, she's the lead in this. So I do like that. But the thing is that they don't really do anything new. It's just, it feels like, oh, we're changing the way it, you see the vision. We're changing that. But other than that, it's like, oh, it's all the same thing. It's just like, keeps going one by one by one by one. And it's like, okay, but you're not really adding anything new to this. So why should I kind of care? Some of the deaths also, I'm just like, okay, that's brutal. And then some of them going like, yeah, That's kind of stupid. Like, mainly, like, there's this one involving tanning beds, and I'm like, okay, that is just, yeah, you do the Rube Goldberg thing, but that's just like completely like, I don't buy that. I don't see that happening at all. Um, so it kind of gets a little unrealistic in that regard, at least. Um, but you know, I I I don't think this is a bad movie, but it's not a good movie. It's not a bad movie. It's not a bad sequel, but it's not a good sequel or a good movie either. It's definitely like I would say if you want to get like at least some continuity or like more progression in story, I think you can honestly skip this one. Um, which is sad because not only does it has a great actress like Mary Elizabeth Winstead in the lead, but it has James Wong returning from part one to come back and do this, and they don't add anything new to it. So it's kind of like, well, why did you even kind of do this? It's like you could have done maybe one and two, and then the continuity with that could have worked, and you could have just left it as that. Or if you want to do this as like a trilogy series, then this could have like wrapped up like how how does this all like how does this all connect? How does this connect to the first and second film? How does Death plan all this out? They could have done stuff like that, but they didn't, which is kind of very disappointing. So this I think it's fine. It's like I said, it's not good, but it's not bad either. Now, then we have in 2009, we get the Final Destination.
Look out!
We just lost a really hot MILF.
Now here's where we reach the low end of the stick. So David R. Ellis returns from part two to come back and do this one. And oh boy. This time it's a NASCAR or race car event. And it's pretty much a hardened copy of 3, where it's like we're changing this, we're changing the way the accent is, and we're changing the characters, but other than that, we didn't do anything new. And this was also the one where they I believe, I don't really know, but they put this one in 3D. I don't know if they shot it in 3D cameras or they added 3D in post. I don't really know what they did, but I'm going to presume that they added 3D in post, because a lot of the kills is CGI. And when it's CGI, it kind of takes me out of the movie. Now, when the death happens, I can tell that's CGI. But the aftermath looks mostly practical. And so I'm like, okay, at least you're doing that, but the way you're setting it up is like, no. What they could have done was like a couple of times, like you start seeing you see the build up, and then it's like, oh boy, the death is about to happen, and then it cuts off screen to like reactions, and then it cuts back to the aftermath, and it's all practical. If they didn't want to do the actual death practical, it would have saved them money in CGI department, and it wouldn't mainly look really out of the ordinary. But that's just me. This one. This This one is the weakest of the series. It really is. Um, it's it's not terrible, but it's not okay either. It's not good. It's not good. I'm trying to not bash this movie as hard as I want, but yeah, it's just the thing that's really disappointing to me is that I think if you want to do a sequel, continue it, and you're continuing it off of the previous movie, continue the story or do more continuity. And that's what the series didn't do. The only ones that kept continuity is 1, 2, and then I'll eventually get to 5. Because 5 does bring continuity, does connect with the first two. I'll get to that in a minute. But 3 and 4 don't. It's like, okay, it's a completely new cast of characters, but it's like, okay, you're changing the beginning, and then you're adding more characters, and that's it. So it's like, why even bother if you're just gonna, not all of these horror series, they don't need to always be like Friday the 13th, where it's just all you want to see is just Jason kill people and then the kills. That's all you care about in that series. They don't really care about story in the Friday the 13th series. So in this, when they start building up a story and then a mythos around the whole series, 3 and 4 just kind of halt. It just grinds to a halt, and you're like, well, why is that? Why? Just why? So 4, I'm trying to think of things to give it a fine, like some of the deaths and some of the aftermath of the kills. It's practical, but again, that doesn't save the movie. So this gets terrible. So yeah, so then in 2011 we got Final Destination 5.
It's kill or be killed. Nobody's safe. Oh my God.
This one is directed by Stephen Quale, who did Into the Storm, and I believe this was his first movie. He's done a lot of like additional stuff on a lot of like James Cameron's movies, like Terminator, Abyss, Avatar. Even worked on Haunted Mansion, which is surprising. So this was kind of his first movie. And I'll be honest, in the beginning of the movie, it's a bridge accident. And then it kind of goes back into that formula, like, oh, here we go, until it hits the third act. When it pulls a left turn, and it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I then saw people talking about it, and they're going like, no, actually, this movie's a lot deeper than you think it is. And so I'm like, okay, how? And they're just like, well, pay attention, and not everyone doesn't have like iPhones or cell phones or anything like that. And so when I looked back and went, oh yeah, they're right. Okay, this is a lot more deeper than I thought it would be. So, but yeah, what it does this, it starts out, being like, up here's the accident, and then it just keeps going, and then it pretty much a hardened copy until it gets to the third act, and then it's like, nope, actually this happens, and then it connects with the first movie, and I'm like, okay, you know what? That was entertaining. That bumped it up for me, because for a while I was going like, okay, this is just fine, and then the third act comes, and then I find out like, oh no, it's actually deeper than there's more thought into this. They put more thought into this than I thought they would. Then it bumps it up to an average. So I was generally surprised with this one, because for a while I was going like, yeah, you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. But then they added more to it, and I was like, okay, I liked that. That I was not expecting that. Okay, awesome. So that's like I said, for a while it's got fine, and then over time I was like, all right, I actually like this, and gets an average. And this one apparently was in 3D as well. Again, I don't know if they shot it with 3D cameras or they did 3D in post, but you know, I don't know. But yeah, that's the Final Destination series. It's an interesting series to watch. I would say if you want to watch the entire series, go right ahead. But if you want to watch the series for story and continuity, I would suggest doing 1, 2, and 5, and just skipping 3 and 4. 3 and 4, you can honestly just go like, oh, those were hallucinations within hallucinations. If you want to. So yeah, it's an interesting series, especially with like the kills, with like the Rube Goldberg methods of killing people. I think that's a cool concept, and I like the idea of like people trying to escape death when it's like, nope, death is inevitable. So good luck with that. So it's an interesting series. I definitely recommend giving it a watch, even though most of them it's just kind of like, it's all right. This wouldn't be a series I would like sit down and like watch all of them again. I would probably only watch one, like I said, 1, possibly 2, and then possibly 5. First one for sure. 2 and 5 maybe. 3 and 4 I'll probably just skip those. But that's just me. So yeah, that's the Final Destination series. Let me know what other series is you want me to check out. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.